Hello, friends. It's time once more for another story. This is from Angry Polar Bear. Oh my. Boomerbeard, the primordial parasite. Well, you got my attention. Go on. Hello, Moonhorse and the Celestial Herd. Hello there. Today I bring you a story of special hell and horror. I bring you the story of the primordial parasite, Boomerbeard. I come from a small town in the mountains. Forest, big fjords, you get the gist. And such an untouched place is usually too idyllic for the likes of Neckbeards. But I will forever curse the day my parents opened their home to my very sick aunt's friend. This is Boomerbeard. Massively rotund and round, that when you get pissed at him, you want to kick him down a steep hill and watch him roll all the way to the ocean. But alas, I can only dream. Obscenely round face and a buzz cut that makes him look horrifyingly like an overgrown infant, and huge unblinking eyes, much like that of a Karen who has just discovered that she gets to say her trademark phrase, "Let me talk to your manager!" I love being able to do that voice sometimes. And so willfully ignorant and moronic that he makes a loaf of moldy bread look like a refined intellectual. Oh boy. He lived with my aunt and her youngest daughter until my aunt got sick and had to be put in a home so she could get around-the-clock care. Oh, jeez. So sorry to hear that. This left my parents and Boomerbeard to clean out the apartment while her daughter moved in with her father. Basically homeless, my parents offered Boomerbeard a place to stay until he could find a place of his own. Little did we know, he would stay with us for 2 years before he finally found his own place. And from this, I observed, learned, and smelled what it's like to live with a neckbeard. The evening that they brought him home was weird. There was a giant, unblinking baby in our kitchen speaking at a volume that made you feel like you were being shouted at. He would regale us with impossible tales of his life. How he had worked with owners of world-class racehorses. His obsession with horses will equal that of our Neckbeard generation's obsession with My Little Pony. Oh, lovely. How he had lived a life of grandeur, new celebrities, new people in biker gangs. How he had worked as an agent for a private eye agency. Really? This giant bastard who doesn't know how to stop his own word vomit and, as obvious as a bright yellow smear on a black wall, worked as a private eye? This, of course, were followed by a tirade of how it all changed his perspective of women, and now all women were whores and drunken sluts who would just cheat on their husbands. Bleh. He befriended a man who had been wrongfully accused of being a pedophile, and told us how downtrodden this man's life was, and how the only company he had was a life-size doll so he could feel like there was another person with him. Knowing the extent of Boomerbeard's idiocy, I'm pretty sure that was a sex doll. And how, when he was 11, he hooked up with a total 16-year-old babe until his mom caught him and dragged him off with his pants still around his ankles. Sure. And he, a civilian, had helped the Child Protective Services rescue so many children from bad homes. Need I remind you, all of this was said at the very first short hours of our meeting. All of these, big shock, are obvious lies. And that would be fine if he told these stories once, but then he would tell them over and over and over, usually 2 or 3 times a day, because he didn't remember telling them. He would demand that I know obscure trivia from before I was even born. I would screw up his face like he was about to take an extra hard shit and wave his giant sausage finger at us until he remembered it himself. Outside of his usual word vomit, he would grunt, groan, and wheeze like a pug on a megaphone whenever he ate. It would be with loud, open-mouth smacking and groaning, with usually food pouring out onto his shirt. And the smell. Oh, God, dear Moonhorse, the smell. Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about, too. His shoes stunk so bad that my mom had to ban them from the house, and they sat on the porch, because the smell would bleed into every room. You could smell them in the second floor. Like baked, waterlogged, rotten roadkill. That's a sign you might need some new shoes. Or to actually, clean and take care of your fucking shoes. Jesus, dude. And the man himself smelled no better. Because he was of the belief that he smelled like a man. Ew. Fortunately, he idolized my dad and copied a lot of the things that he did. My dad may be an asshole, but at least he knows how to bathe. As the year progressed, so too, Boomerbeard became less stinky. He literally almost ate us out of house and home, so much so that my mom had to restrict his eating because it was overwhelming our food budget. At one time, because I was broke, I asked my mom to borrow money for some new pants. He immediately jumped in with that I could get one of his old pairs and looked and acted like I should just drop my pants there and then to try on his apparel of neckbeardery. Ew. All of my dad's friends despise this guy, and they avoid him like the plague, because when no attention is given to him, he'll interrupt as loud as he can to talk about himself. We were all so done with him. One time, my dad willfully got him so drunk that he slept an entire day so we could go on a road trip just to get away for an afternoon. When we came home, it was a horrid sight. A neckbeard almost down to his birthday suit on the sofa, only clad in yellowed boxers that went almost down to his knees and were pulled all the way up under his massive man booblets. Oh, that's disgusting. Ah, fuck, man. Like, I just ate, too. Like, oh. Okay. He would always know better, no matter what the topic, because he was armored with an outdated education and a "my dad said so" attitude. But he was always gullible enough to believe everything he read on Facebook without considering the sources and take that as truth. Oh yeah, I definitely know someone like that. This may all seem innocent enough, but imagine this from the very moment you wake up until you fall asleep without a sense of privacy for 2 years. You'd start getting a little murderous too. But finally, like a gift from the gods above and some frantic searching by my parents, we found him an apartment somewhere else in town, and all felt right in the world. For about a week. But this is just the beginning of my story of Boomerbeard, the primordial parasite, and if people show interest, I will horrify you with more of such tales, including him trying to hit on my mom. Wow. His newly discovered fascination with bestiality. Oh! How fucking classy. And other equally nasty stories. As an ending note, I'm sorry for any grammar or formatting mistakes. English isn't my first language, and I have MS, so sometimes I do that. Well, that is a hell of a story. And I'm so glad that you're able to tell us this story because I knew a guy like this. Yeah. Mew was a guy like this. He was exactly the kind of guy who knew better than everybody else. He had a litany of stories that went on for just years and years and years, and somehow he managed to do all these amazing things, even though, you know, he never left the house or bathed or anything. And again, with his knowledge of I know everything, he was also the first person to believe all of the crazy shit he read on Facebook. So, yeah, no, I'm actually in the same boat with you on this one. I've seen these kind of guys before. I never talked about certain things that Mew did. There was one time where he specifically sent me a message about how Facebook was going to harvest everybody's profile pictures and use that to, like, advertise and stuff, and he was convinced they were going to do that to him, so he had to send everybody a chain letter about how that needed to be stopped, and you have to post it on your wall and all that other basic bullshit. That's just not how that works. Also, no one's going to have him in an ad. Like, why would they do that? That's fucking ridiculous. That's not how anything works, but whatever. My favorite part is that he said this was going to happen. This was going to happen because Facebook was going public. That meant that when they started, you know, actually trading for advertiser money, then all these things could just happen. And I informed him that Facebook had gone public 7 years prior. So this is just an old chain letter you found and thought that it was just so absolutely true. Yeah. Mew also did the same thing that, like, Christian did. His whole thing was he could just bathe if he just, you know, sprayed himself with, like, Axe, and that was fine. It totally wasn't fine. Especially because some of his favorite foods included things like pickled pig's lips. So he always smelled like vinegar and tobacco and body odor. He was also one of those people who wore those very strap-heavy leather mandals. You know, the kind of manly sandals that had like 500 straps all over them, and they were like Crocs before Crocs was a thing. Yeah, those. He would wear those everywhere. No socks, of course. And the cargo shorts and the ill-fitting t-shirt. And always a stained ill-fitting t-shirt, because he wouldn't change clothes for a week at a time. I don't mean he'd put the same clothes on when he got up. I mean he never took them off for like a week. Yeah. Eventually he moved out of town, and I haven't heard from him in many, many years. So hopefully, my friend, hopefully Boomerbeard will do the same. Maybe someday he'll move out of town and you'll never ever hear from him again. I fucking hope. But thank you for sending us this interesting story. Wow. Anyway, I don't really know what else to say at this point. That's just like, holy shit, this fucking guy. So, yeah, thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you have your own story that you'd like to send me, you can send it to r/Moonhorse Stories. I check there first before I check anywhere else, so I absolutely will see it. If you would like to get some crazy merch from this show, I'm alright, I promise. It helps keep this show going. Plus, it's got a bunch of really fucking cool designs. Awesome artists did a bunch of awesome work there. You should totally check it out. The link to that, as well as the subreddit, as well as everything else, is in the comments. Not comments. Drop down, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what it's called. YouTube keeps changing things, and I don't know what they are anymore, and I'm just terrified and confused all the time. That's life on YouTube. If you ever wonder what it's like to be like a person who works and does this kind of stuff on YouTube, it's just everything is confusing, and we never know what's going to happen. That's pretty much the best way to describe it. I hope for the best. Cool. Anyway, the best part about this is talking to you guys. And with that, I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Holy shit. Bye, everybody.